It was unusual to go to the village stream so early before the first cock crow, but that day, a young lady named Olamma had to. She lived in Amupe village and her job was helping people cultivate their farmlands. It didn't matter if they were from her village or from the next villages around. She would help them clear, plant, or weed their farms, and in return, they paid her in cowries. That was how she survived. This particular day, she had work in a nearby village. She had to wake up very early, even before the first cock crowed, so she could prepare food to carry along to the farm. She got up, cleaned the small cooking area, and got everything ready. But when she went to scoop some water to start cooking, she realized her water pot was empty. At first, she didn't want to go out. The whole village was still dark and silent. Everyone was still sleeping. The trees stood like shadows, and the wind carried nothing but silence. She stood by the door, thinking twice about it. Should I go? What if something happens? But then she told herself, there's no need to be scared, nothing will happen to me. So she picked up a small calabash and lit a small oil lamp. She stepped out and started walking along the narrow, lonely path that led to the village stream. The road was quiet, so quiet. Even the leaves didn't make their usual rustling sound. The air felt cold and heavy. Still, Olama kept walking. Her lamp was shaking gently in her hand as she followed the narrow footpath. The bush on both sides of the path seemed thicker than usual. Finally, she got to the stream. As she walked towards the water, something strange happened. As Olama got to the river, she saw something that made her freeze. There, by the bank of the stream, stood a very beautiful woman with long hair. The woman dropped a big basket gently by the river bank, and without saying a word, she walked slowly into the river and disappeared. Just like that. She didn't swim, she didn't sink, she just vanished into the water, leaving the basket behind. Olama's heart started beating fast. She was scared. She wanted to run back home, but she desperately needed water to cook. She couldn't go to the farm hungry. She needed strength to work. So she gathered courage and walked slowly to the river. Her eyes went straight to the basket. Something told her to look inside. She bent slightly, opened it gently, and what she saw left her mouth wide open. Inside the basket was a baby, a very beautiful baby. Olama looked around. There was no one. The river was quiet. Her hands shook. She quickly fetched water with her small calabash and wanted to leave immediately. But just as she turned to go, the baby began to cry. Olama paused. She told herself, let me just go. Let me not look back. But her legs refused to move. Her heart pulled her back. She turned around, walked back to the basket, and carried the baby gently into her arms. Without wasting time, she rushed home, looking left and right to make sure no one saw her. When she got home, she placed the baby carefully beside her in the room. She didn't understand what had just happened. Still, she had work to do. She quickly prepared some food, the little she could manage, so she could eat later on the farm. Then she wrapped the baby with a cloth, packed her food, and began the long trek to the neighboring village where she would cultivate a farmland for someone. When she got to the farm, she looked around for a shady tree. She dropped the baby with a basket under it to protect the baby from the sun. Then she picked up her hoe and went straight to work. But the moment she placed the hoe on the soil, something strange happened. The farmland cultivated itself, all of it, in just a second. Olama screamed and jumped back. Her eyes were wide, her hands trembled. What just happened? She looked at the baby. The baby was calm. quiet, almost like nothing had happened. But Olama stood still, shocked. She didn't know whether to be afraid or to be happy. The next day, she went to the farm again, this time carrying the baby along as usual. And again, as she set her hoe on the ground, the whole farm cleared itself like magic. That was when Olama started to suspect that the baby she picked by the river might somehow be the reason for the strange things happening. But she had no idea what was really ahead of her. One hot afternoon, Olama's friend came to visit her. It was a surprise because everyone in the village knew that Olama hardly stayed at home. She was always on the farm, working from morning till evening. But today, her friend noticed something unusual. Olama's heart was open. She must be home, she thought. She called out, and Olama came out smiling, with a baby tied gently to her back. Her friend looked confused. Ah, Olama, you are home. This one that you are not in the farm. Olama laughed and said, my sister, I don't need to stay too long at the farm again. Something strange and wonderful has been happening to me. Her friend's eyes widened. What is it? And whose baby are you carrying like this? That was when Olama told her everything. She told her how she had gone to fetch water very early one morning, how she saw a beautiful woman drop a basket at the stream and disappeared into the water, how she found the baby inside the basket, and how every time she took the baby to the farm, her farm would cultivate itself like magic. Her friend screamed in shock and excitement. Olama, this baby is a gift, a real miracle. But don't waste this chance so you can use the baby to make more money. Olama raised her eyebrow. How do you mean? Her friend leaned close and whispered, lend the baby to other farmers. Let them carry the baby to their farms. Their land will cultivate itself too. They will pay you anything just to have that kind of miracle. You will be rich. You will be the richest woman in this village. Olama smiled. The idea was sweet in her ears. She nodded and said, you are right. I never even thought of that. I will do it. From the next day, Olama began the business. Every morning, farmers gathered in front of her hut, waiting for their turn to carry the baby to their farms. One by one, they came from every corner. Obioma, Amuzu, Mpologu, all the nearby villages. Each time a farmer carried the baby to the farm, the land would clear and till itself, just like it did for Olama. And in return, Olama collected money, cowries, food, clothes, and even chickens. The gifts kept pouring in. Her heart began to fill with riches. But slowly, something began to change. Olama no longer cared about the baby. She didn't mind if the baby had eaten or not. Sometimes the baby was passed from one farmer to the other without even resting. She stopped bathing the baby regularly. Her focus was only on the money. Give me my pay first before you carry the baby, she would say. People started to whisper, this is too much. They said, she doesn't treat the baby well anymore. Then one day, the baby fell sick. Olama tried to hold the baby in her arms, but the baby was weak. Its skin felt hot. The baby could barely cry. She panicked. She sat beside the baby and began to cry bitterly. Please don't die. Please stay with me. But as the tears dropped from her eyes, something even stranger happened. The baby stopped breathing. Then slowly the baby disappeared right there in the basket. The basket was empty. Olama screamed. She screamed until her voice cracked. Then she cried and cried until she slept off beside the empty basket. That night, she had a dream. In the dream, she saw the beautiful woman she had seen at the river, the same one who had dropped the basket that early morning. The woman looked into Olama's eyes and said, the baby was sent to you as a gift, a blessing, a miracle for you and your people. But instead of caring for the baby, you used the gift for greed. You were meant to protect the child, and in return, you would have been blessed forever. But now you have lost everything. When Olama woke up the next morning, she couldn't move. She was gone. Her spirit had left her. All the money, the gifts, the fame meant nothing now. Everything she had gained through greed was now dust. Moral of the story: always value what you have. A blessing is not meant to be abused. Never let greed or bad advice make you lose the precious gift you've been given.